And there we are. We are live. Got Buddy Songy back in the TigerBait TV studios. Of course, we're brought to you every week by Pride Roofing. Definitely give Mike Faraday and those guys a call. I'm going to talk about them more in the show. We appreciate them being a major sponsor of TigerBait.com, the official roofing company of TigerBait.com. And like I say each week, they're doing a big promo. If you're an LSU fan, you want to jump on it. If you call them for a free roofing inspection at 225-275-2041 and tell them you heard about it on TigerBait.com, they're going to give you an annual subscription, a premium subscription to TigerBait for free. So you get a free roof inspection and free TigerBait. You can't beat it, no obligation. And we'll talk more about Pride Roofing later in the show, but glad to have you back here, buddy. We got a lot to talk about.
Good to see you. A job well done is a job done by Pride, with pride, and they take great pride. And, of course, 225-275-2041, Mike and Alex. It's amazing the scope of the business they do in the southeastern part of the United States. And, man, we are jammed. I needed last week off. You know, it gets to be a little bore for some of our subscribers, listeners. And needed a little, and let's be honest, I don't know, we talked about this, I don't know if we watched more basketball because we missed the big dance. That's the most baskets I've watched in a long, long time. We'll give you some basketball, we'll give you some baseball, we'll give you a commitment, give you some football, and throw in a little gymnastics.
Big, yeah, certainly a big week. Was on my way to spring football practice today. Of course, you know, they're giving us, the media, access to 1 day a week. And we knew going into it, if on that 1 day a week that we were slotted, that if it started to rain, that we would be out of luck. And sure enough, I'm going to head down Burbank, get to about Lee Drive, and get the text for the media saying, hey, sorry, we tried. We're going indoors. There's lightning in the area. And yeah, I pulled in a chicken salad chicken, picked up some lunch, and headed back and started uploading videos. So we've got a lot of player interviews today. We had Max Johnson, Damone Clark, Ed Ingram, Neil Farrell, and Avery Atkins interviews. That's on the front page of TigerBait.com. That's a freebie. All their interviews are already uploaded to TigerBait. Max Johnson was really good. Talked to him about Jake Peets. Jake Peets is looking good at practice. Jake Peets impressed a lot of people at the coaches clinic last night. So we can talk about that. Baseball team headed to Knoxville. Important series for Paul Mainieri. Anything less than 2 out of 3 will be unacceptable, right?
Well, Tennessee is highly ranked as well. It's amazing. I had Todd Walker on today. I've never seen it at this point. Todd had not either. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all SEC in the basic baseball polls. Now, there are disparities in baseball polls, much more so than basketball and football. The big news, of course, Landon Marceau was moved up to Friday. They'll go 5:30 Central tomorrow. They are worried about weather and rain, so you could have some problems with that. Tweaking the lineup a little bit, and I got to be honest with you, Mike. You know, these baseball fans are smart and they're loyal, but they know that if you don't take 2 out of 3 and get to 500 in the conference, Vandy comes in the next weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So Ole Miss is loaded, Arkansas is loaded, A&M's scary good, Alabama's better. It's murderer's row. It's a beast in the SEC. So they've got to win the series this weekend.
I mean, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, even when things, you know, with some really debilitating losses during the Les Miles years, I always had defenders on the TigerBait message board. People who backed up Miles. There aren't a whole lot of people who are backing up Mainieri anymore. The only people that seem to be backing him up are the guys on the beat that cover the LSU baseball beat. I swear to that. Most people are just done with the excuses. They're done with it. And I mean, I don't know.
15 years, Mike, is a long time. And once again, LSU baseball has had a highest standard as any when you talk year to year. People expect Omaha. We thought that they'd have an inordinate amount of pitching, and all of a sudden, they're having trouble in the bullpen. They are leading the country in home runs, but now only hitting 275. ERA is almost 4. But it's going to be up and down, and you know, we know the home run can get you out of some jams, but they have not closed out games with a great bullpen. That is going to determine how good they do this year.
And is the not having the Tulane game, does that hurt or help?
I'm a believer that it helps because these kids play too many damn games anyway. I mean, can you imagine? You got baseball all the time. You play Tuesday, Wednesday, then you go play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Give them a break to take the girlfriend out, have a hamburger and some ice cream or whatever. But look, bottom line is that these kids play a lot of games. I think that
Yeah.
I think they're going to host a regional, travel to a super regional, and probably not make it to Omaha unless they get a lot better.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what most people see right now.
Yeah, asked about recruiting. Certainly one of the other topics, big topic today. Tyge Hill becomes the 11th commitment for the class of 2022. A consensus top 3 in the country class. Vying, Ohio State at the top. LSU's 2 or 3. Consensus with the current class with 11 commitments. Arguably the number 1 defensive lineman in the state of Louisiana, I believe he is, from Edna Carr, about 6'3", 285. He can get bigger and stronger. He's got a great first step. What do you have, like 26 tackles behind the line, multiple sacks. The kid is just a beast, and I think the sky's the limit. Tyge's a super kid, very intelligent, and we've shot a couple of games of him last season. We have his commitment story on the front page of TigerBait and an exclusive video package from video that we shot at TigerBait last football season of him. And of course, Carr just is a championship football program. And you got the Anderson kid that's committed to LSU, who I absolutely love and think is Josh Reed 2.0. Alabama offered him a scholarship offer yesterday or today. And, that's going to be one to watch. I was waiting for Alabama for Nick Saban to see him, and sure enough, he got an offer. So
now don't tell me that after they came in and stole JoJo Earl. I'm not ready to listen to that.
I'm telling you, the Anderson kid, look, there's a lot of receivers in Louisiana, but what that kid does after the catch and his ball skills, I mean, he's something else. Like I said, I think he's Josh Reed. He's got some Tyrann Mathieu, awareness of where the ball is, and just, I think he's unbelievable. So
yeah, well, I don't want to hear after 3 days of rain that Saban possibly could come in and take Anderson. I know you're high on him. Back to Tyge Hill. Mike and I go so far way back, folks, that when we first started doing that, LSU had the worst problems and more problems and the worst luck getting in defensive tackles. And remember that for years in D linemen. Oh, by the way, in case you hadn't heard, Mason Smith is turning some heads. And you got to be pretty darn good when you come in and wear the 0, first time ever, LSU football player.
Yeah, you got to have some umph about you to go ahead and take the 0, because that sets you up for a whole lot of jokes if you're a 5-star and you don't pan out, or you're only, honorable mention all SEC in your 3rd year. When you're a 5-star, that's coming out of high school, that's basically saying, by the time the kid's a junior, he's a first-round draft pick. He's a first-team all-conference selection. So, but man, it's, I mean, look, Orgeron will always talk good about newcomers, but it's obvious with Mason Smith. He's brought him up multiple times.
Well, the other players are talking about him too.
Yeah.
In the interviews. Now, the other thing I was going to add, Jaquelin Roy, I think, is going to blow out this year. I think he's going to have a much better year. So you got Mason and Jaquelin Roy. And now you got Tyge Hill. LSU's in good shape at D tackle.
I want to hear some more, provoked. I want to start hearing Orgeron say something about Jacoby and Guillory. I want to hear that he's.
Well, he is practicing. I did see that in some of the practice videos. He is practicing. Last year, he came a little heavy, had an injury, and I don't think he ever got into the flow, Mike.
Yep. Look, we got a lot of questions. Let me scroll back up, guys. Give me a minute. I want to make sure we get them in, and if there's anything we didn't touch on. A lot of people saying they're good to see you back here, buddy. Dane says it. Eric DeLion says it. Spring football news, we're getting on that. Blaine Smith. Jamie Brady, one of my old fraternity brothers. Are they losing any Louisiana players SEC schools? I don't see it right now, Jamie. Exactly what you said, Mike. Enough of the excuses. We get top talent every year. I think the whole thing with that is when you brought it up, when you've got 5 SEC teams in the D1 baseball, that's the Kendall Rogers group, and they're top 5, that ties in, the SEC is so tough. Well, that's okay as long as you're one of the 5, and they're not. So
Oh, Mike, I don't know why you're one of the few media people in this town that just don't respect the job I've done. I'm a Hall of Fame coach.
Yeah, Frank,
No, I'm no Jacques
Frank
Doucet.
is. Call him up and straighten him out.
I'm no Jacques Doucet with impersonations. But you mentioned that the media doesn't criticize Coach Manera. He's very smart. He does a good job of playing the PR. But look, I saw it after Green Bay. I saw it after that Wisconsin loss. The fans fired Les Miles. If they don't get better and peak at the right time and get to Omaha, there will be some fans that wash their hands of Paul Manera. Is it fair? By the way, Joe Oliva, our good buddy, gave him that contract when he went to talk to Texas until 2024.
So they would owe him what, $3.5 million if they made a move.
Probably. I mean, Brian knows all those numbers better than I do, but I think he's making 1.15 a year.
Yeah. Bart Smokey, my buddy, 96.9 KZMZ in Alexandria. He's on from 4 to 6 up there. Great LSU show. He asked, do you think Locatour's finished with football coaching? I hope not. Broke the news yesterday, and it's kind of news, but it was news that really it was just because I stumbled upon it. I was at practice, and it didn't dawn on me that I didn't see him out there with the defensive lineman. I reached out, and he's not with the, and so anyways, he's back. He's in the private sector right now. Good for him. I think he's got a future in coaching if he wants, but if he starts making a ton of money, who knows? But I think it's unfortunate. I think maybe he might have thought that he could have been a candidate to be the defensive line coach. I think it's just one of those things where, most of the time, if you're one of those guys in the building like that, a GA or whatever, you've got to go somewhere else, have success in order to come back. And maybe his current job will be temporary and he'll end up somewhere else. I think he's probably going to go to a mid-major school, go to a Coastal Carolina or a Middle Tennessee, have some success as a defensive line coach, and then work his way up. But everything I've seen him between recruiting and coaching, I think he does have a future. But maybe he's changed his mind and has decided that maybe the hours that goes into being a coach, that's not the lifestyle he wants. So I want to talk to him some more about it. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike and Buddy, Paul from Metairie here. Locatour leaving is a surprise. We talked about that. Is Munoz and Callaway on the staff?
Yes, they are. They are analysts.
Yes.
I checked out on the roster and everything that they spit out for the spring, and they are both offensive analysts.
Blaine Smith, hearing Savion Jones is a monster. Yes, he is. That's why I had him slightly above Mason Smith in my rankings on TigerBait. Both 5 stars, obviously. I think Mason can have a bigger impact early on, but I think in 3 years it might be Savion that's because he's a defensive end and in my mind, just physically, not saying he's going to end up being there, but he's a cross between Clowney and Mingo size-wise.
Well, and that, once again, this is what people thought. We thought that LSU, when Coach O came in here, and you saw the relationship he had with the USC D lineman and all those guys that he helped put in the pros, and going all the way back to Rock, Dwayne Johnson, obviously. We kept waiting for LSU to just be loaded and everybody to come play with Coach O on the D line, and it looks like they now are accruing the type of depth that we all thought they'd have.
Yeah, and so you got him, you've got Tapp at Ascension Catholic. You got Jaheim Otis, who I went and filmed in Mississippi last year.
Is that the monster guy, the huge guy?
Monster. Of course, the year before that it was McKinley Jackson, who ended up at Texas A&M, and McKinley was one of those guys, and he played a lot for the Aggies. McKinley's one of those guys where it's like, man, Jacobian, Guillory, or McKinley was a tough one, and it's like, well, Jacobian's the Louisiana kid, so I have high expectations for Jacobian Guillory. I want to hear some more from him. So.
Yeah, I'm pulling up some of these quotes that some of the guys had after interviews today. I don't want anybody to think I'm texting personal here, but I'm pulling up some of the quotes, and it's. I tell you what, Mike. And look, this doesn't. It may come off as a homer comment, but I really believe this. We know there was a disconnect last year, and we're not going to get into the things that Pelini did or any of these other coaches did, but they alienated the players. We know that there was a problem when they didn't have the communication and trust of each other to talk before they actually went down and protested and went to the president, all that. It was a disconnect from start day one. Everything that we've heard is that the players are much more in tune with these new guys. Now, they don't have the experience that Linehan and Pelini had, but neither did Joe Brady. And that is where I think people are excited, because you can't look at a Jake Peetz game plan. He's never called plays in the game. You can't look at a Durante Jones defensive coordinator game plan. He's never done that. And I kind of like that interesting tidbit, because these guys are going to play with a lot of energy. And listen to all the interviews Ed Ingram saying today. Folks, we got an old man's league on the offensive line. He said the youngest guy is 21, but everybody's 22, 22, 23, 24. A lot of veteran guys back. They're getting in shape. They believe what the coaches are saying. I think they'll go full guns, motor to the floor. I expect LSU to be appreciably better in 2021.
Yeah. Chili Vic wants to know about Walter Nolan, the big 5-star defensive tackle from Cordova, Tennessee. St. Benedict at Auburndale, 6'4", 300-pound beast. LSU certainly in it with Alabama and Clemson and everybody. I think it's going to be very telling once we get the final word. I'm assuming the NCAA's got to let the coaches know real soon, because they've got to start scheduling camps. They've got to start reaching out to kids. These are the dates. This is the alignment camp we want you to come to. If you can't come to that, we want you to come to this elite camp, or whatever they're going to be allowed to do. So, it's going to be very telling if guys like him make the journey to Baton Rouge for whichever camp that Ed Orgeron and the staff want him to attend to. So I did an interview with a guy today about it, and I just think it's about to get wide open. I mean, it's very telling that, first of all, they're giving us access to practice. And we're just seeing more and more where things are getting more lax and more lax. We're starting to see concerts getting scheduled. The numbers are going up for people getting vaccinated. And I think a lot more people are hopeful and have a more positive outlook about where we're heading in that regard. So,
But he's too good to do anything early. That's going to be a long process for him, probably.
Yeah.
Another few months.
Yep. Let's see. Yeah, Josh Sibley says Damone said he likes that he can go into the building and feel like it's not toxic. Josh Sibley with Louisiana Gridiron Football, one of our buddies. Yeah, Damone Clark was real good. He got probably had the longest interview today of all the guys, but it was good to see. I don't know who in the media requested Avery Atkins, but I thought he was real good today. Max, of course. And I don't know. Max seems real liking what he's doing in that new Pete's offense. So
yeah, a lot of 5 wides, a lot of empty backfields. Going to throw the ball to the backs out the backfield, and going to be interesting to see. And that's why I like Max Johnson, because he can make plays with his feet. And I call him a poor man's left-handed Joe Burrow. And you made a comment to this, but how cool was that Jacques putting up on the Twitter feed when Joe Burrow came in here this first time? You know what? That right there is what the next star quarterback has to bring that Joe Burrow brought to LSU. You know what that is? A confident swagger. And when somebody challenges you, whether it's Devin White or Michael Divinity or whatever, to fight, you go right there toe-to-toe, and everybody on that team said, oh, man, I'm going to follow that guy. And that is what it takes. Last year, you didn't have any of that.
yeah, no, I'm liking watching the new coaches, Baker out there, of course, at linebacker, and Carter. I mean, he just looks the part. I mean, when Orgeron says he looks like he could suit up and play if he wanted to next weekend, it's absolutely, I agree with him. Carl the Cat Dunn, I'm ready for normal high school and college football season. So am I. Actually went on the LHSA website 2 nights ago, and some of the high school schedules are already starting to come out for next season. Now, there's probably, I don't know, it looked like there's maybe a little over 20 schools that have already published their football schedules. So I'm already starting to chart where I want to go. And last year I had the whole season wrecked, but it did make it so I went to Mississippi early because they didn't pause over there. I went to Mississippi, and I got 2 Mississippi kids back to back. Dion, LSU's new wide receiver, but I got to see him in a meet at what is it, Oak? What's the private school up there? You guys know it. And then of course Jaheim Otis. But yeah, no, the important time of year for me is those non-district games where you're hoping to see, like last year. I mean, we were going to get Neville hosting STM. I had planned to go to Monroe for that one, and that didn't happen. So there was so many games. But then we got Acadiana and Catholic High and a lot of games on the fly. There was some unique wrinkles about last year.
Yeah.
I mean, you would never get that Acadiana Catholic High game, which really, makes people get the envie for the private public thing to come back together.
Carl Cat is like a lot of our folks on Facebook tonight. They are just down home, really good people that love LSU. And I've been seeing Carl Cat at games for many, many years. And I want to congratulate him. I think Carl Cat was honored as one of the top 100 high school officials last year in the state of Louisiana. So congratulations, see.
Travis Webb jogged my memory for me. Oak Forest, that's right.
Oak Forest, there you go.
I was impressed with that little school, by the way. It had a nice little stadium. I enjoyed going out there. Let's see. Bug is getting a lot of praise.
Yeah. This junior linebacker doesn't say a lot, but he is a thumper. And I thought the kid coming in from the Maryland area, Anton Samper, I thought he was going to be a thumper. And I haven't seen much from him so far. But right now, it looks like Damone Clark and Bugs at the middle.
Blaine Smith, new women's basketball coach coming soon. And he's making that in a declarative. Is that a question, Blaine, or you're making a declarative statement? You think there's a move coming on Nikki soon?
I don't know where it's prioritized.
Blaine, are you saying that's going to happen, or are you hoping it's going to happen?
I think a lot of people are hoping, but once again, Scott Woodward is not, as you said, tossed his arrow in the ground and made a signature move yet. But look,
he's due. He's due. He's starting year 3 coming up.
Yeah.
So it's.
But it's a loss leader product of the tune of about $2.2 million every year, and so
you always have that. You should, when you're paying, you still have to pay market value for coaches, right?
But my point is that you're going to lose money, and everybody said go get Kim Mulkey. She's not coming here, and probably never was.
I like the Stanford philosophy that if you field the sport, then you're going for championships.
Yeah. Well, but here's my point. Okay, so guess what? A market value coach and women's coaches now. Guy just left Mississippi State, went to Texas, probably got $1 million. I mean, these.
Okay, now so is Kim Mulkey losing money for Baylor?
No. Not only is Kim Mulkey making money with them, but they're probably, well, I don't know what their bottom line says, but I'll tell you what, she's taking all the Louisiana recruits.
Oh yeah.
And that's part of the reason.
And she's coming on Louisiana talk shows and talking about it.
And that's why Nikki probably needs to go. She just has not done a good job of recruiting the state.
And that's always been the rub. Okay, well, if you say she's a good on-the-field court coach, but she can't recruit, well, then we've been saying that for years, why hasn't she brought an assistant coach that can recruit? Is that all she needed? I mean, look what an assistant coach did for D.D. Bro in her last decade or so of gymnastics.
Yeah, well, look.
Now he's the head coach.
It's unfortunate, and I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way, but it's not on the top of the toad board with LSU fans' priority.
Samuel Hostin, I'm excited to watch Mason Smith. It seems like he's showing that all the hype was real. No doubt. And look, that's one of those deals, too, where, don't think that there wasn't some people scratching. Look, man, he plays for Terrebonne. The competition isn't that. There was times where I'm looking at him because you always have to be leery of guys, especially that are tall and their waist height is so high. Can they get low enough? Are they going to have issues? Because body-wise, he didn't carry the bad weight that Joe Barksdale did. But you were wondering could it have been a Joe Barksdale situation where comes in as a defensive lineman, but because of his height. But I don't think that's going to happen with Mason Smith.
No, and look. The funny part about it is, remember the first week, remember what they put out? Glenn Logan throws him aside and Coach O says, welcome to LSU, big boy.
I was right
and
there.
Now here it is, a week later, and everybody's talking about him, including his teammates. You hit the nail on the head, Mike. What is the biggest transition? pad level. You can play high at the high school level and get away with it. In the colleges, you got to get your pad level down. Once he does that, he's going to be a beast.
So so if he ends up being what we think he's going to be, is it the closest comparison in LSU lore, Marquise Hill?
I think it's just too early to. We got to see him when there's real football in pads against SEC competition.
Yep. And I want to talk about Pride Roofing. I always want to do it at about the 18 to 20 minute mark, and really want to talk about Mike Faraday, Alex Martinez, our friends at Pride Roofing LLC. Absolutely a fantastic roofing company. They've got you covered all the way from Sulphur to Mobile, Alabama. They've got satellite locations in all of these cities. They just opened up one in Mobile. They're in Gulfport, Biloxi. Big on the North Shore. Of course, they're stationed in Albany. I've been out there. They've got enough shingles to do 150 roofs. And that's one of the big deals there, is that they will deal with your insurance adjuster for you. Once they get the go-ahead, and they're all using on the same formulas that your insurance company works with if you've got damage, within 2 weeks, they can be out there putting shingles on your roof because they stock so much of it. They make a lot of their own materials. I've seen machines in their shop that are six-figure machines. They've got a secret weapon in a trailer that they pull around. They don't use any builder-grade products. Best labor warranty in the roofing business. Pride Roofing, Mike Faraday, he's an LSU grad. I grew up with him. I can vouch for him. Good friends with everybody in his family, and he's a Broadmoor High School grad as well. And check out Pride Roofing. Tell them that you heard about him on TigerBait. Call the 225-275-2041 number. Ask for your free roofing inspection. And when you do that and say you heard about it on TigerBait, they're going to give you 1 year of a premium subscription to TigerBait for free. They're footing the bill for that, and cannot beat it. You're under no obligation. Get a free roof inspection and get free TigerBait. Give them a call at the 275 number and tell them you heard about them, tigerbait.com, and they're the official roofing company of TigerBait.
Great sponsor for you, because you take great pride in the videos and the content that you provide on the site. And a job well done is a job done with pride, and that's a great sponsor for you. And as we said, we've been talking about them on the radio and the internet shows and TV with the Pelicans. So congrats to Mike and Alex. And, you know, we always say this, coaches always say this, not how much success you have, it's how much you can handle. And when you look at the scope of where they're going, they're handling everybody's needs. When I heard Mobile and all these other places, I said, what? Oh, that's somebody doing it the right way.
No, they are, and the bigger deal is not only being insured, bonded, A+, Better Business Bureau rated, but it's also the fact that the guys running the company actually have been up on roofs and know how to wield a hammer. They're just not farming it out and being a contractor and collecting the money. So Pride Roofing, absolutely glad to have them as a part of the TigerBait family, and please give them a call.
By the way, do you sense Max Johnson is a coach's son when you hear him on interviews and talk? And where do you think this team has assessed who gives them the best chance to win in 2021? You're going to have some Miles Brennan fans because he didn't get to finish last year. You got some TJ Finley fans because he looked fantastic against South Carolina. And you and Rufino are still the VP and the president of the TJ Finley fan club. You got Max Johnson, and there's a two-headed sword there. He can hurt you with his arm, with his feet, and oh, by the way, he's got a hell of a little brother that's a tight end, and that's a neat position for LSU.
I was this close to making my question today a two-parter, or maybe it would have been a three-parter. I was going to ask him about his brother Jake, because Jake's, now got high-ranking, five-star, and 6'5", 6'6", was 225. He's probably hitting 240 now, and we all have seen the clips of those two working out in the off season together, and Jake's a super kid. So, I've always kind of joked and said, well, the reason why his younger brother hadn't committed is because he's waiting to see how that quarterback battle is going to be. But I don't see Max being anything less than a number two. But if he's a number one, then the question is, who's the number two going to be? There's still some scenarios to play out.
And Nussmeier is getting rave reviews. Now, he's small, and he really needs to get bigger and stronger, and that will be natural. His daddy grew, obviously. But he's been getting some pops and some shout-outs from Coach Davey.
If you're an LSU coach, what is the ideal scenario for you in order to keep the peace? The ideal scenario coming out of spring football, the spring game's over. Do you want it to be neck and neck and just absolutely no way you're able to name a starter, and that the competition has got to go through the summer into fall camp? Is that the best case scenario?
Yeah.
Or is it a worst case scenario if you've got a clear number one and he's head and shoulders above your 2 and 3 and they're already starting to make plans?
Listen, there's no reason to tell anybody who's a starter after spring ball.
No.
And
But in the building, if they get a sense of it.
Well, but you got to keep it open. Listen, you got summer where you lift. Garrett Nussmeier might end up being 185 by the time fall camp's
The
here.
last thing you want is a McMillan, Narcisse scenario within 24 hours.
But that happened at fall camp when Joe Burrow was like that. So that was my point. I hope that they can keep all of them. I know everybody says one of them or two of them going to transfer. I know Miles Brennan is loyal. Hope TJ can hang in there. And I think Nussmeier and Brad Johnson are here to stay.
Let's see what else.
At least you hope so. But, oh, by the way, in case you missed it, folks, on the interview, Max is really, really excited because, Mike, they are going to do a much better job of simulating and emulating Joe Brady's offense this year.
Brian Madeir, I don't know if he's an Alabama fan stirring up or he's just...
Oh, Brian. I know Brian for many, many months. What crazy thing he said?
The gangster Slick Willie being investigated once again for the feds are snooping around Red Stick per Pat 40.
Well, Brian, if you listen to Pat 40 and you get your information from Pat 40, you don't have to take Viagra tonight because he's had a boner on LSU and he's tried to throw all this stuff against the wall. Oh, by the way, Michael Bonnet told Ross Dellinger and SI that we don't know about the FBI in town investigating. And don't get me started on the FBI after what just happened in Boulder, Colorado.
Who's the guy at USA Today who's been, having fun?
Dan Wolken.
Dan Wolken, Pat 40. Who else you want to name? All those guys are in the hip pocket of blue blood head basketball coaches. They're on speed dial with Calipari and Self and Krzyzewski.
Patino.
If you're not, Will Wade, let's just say, isn't at the cool kids table, and he's ruffled feathers. And these guys are, in my sense of it, is they're being used. And what it probably tells me is that I need to really. I keep saying I'm going to do it, and I got to get some basketball recruiting info. It must mean when we're hearing this, it must mean that Will Wade must be about to close a deal on a basketball recruit that one of those coaches we just named really wants. That's what it tells me.
Well,
or we can expect a Dick Vitale tweet any day now.
I wasn't here, and I saw last week. I saw a guy asking me about Dick Vitale, and he conveniently forgets this, folks. Zion Williamson's stepdad was on tape, just like Will Wade was on tape. And Zion Williamson's dad said basically, this is what it's going to take to get us to Kansas. Where did he end up going? Duke. I think the package over at Duke was over $1 million with jobs and cars and houses. Brian, if you think that college basketball is clean, you need to see that it's way dirtier than the Mississippi River.
And what's really bad is 20 years ago, as a guy who covers recruiting, and I would always say, well, at least football recruiting isn't near as filthy as basketball recruiting, and I believe it now from what I've seen in the last 2 or 3 years. I think football recruiting is absolutely way more filthy than basketball recruiting, and that's saying a lot.
Well, look, you know that better than me and maybe other people, but my point is that I am not condoning. Will Wade made a mistake and hopefully won't do that. But Dick Vitale is a hypocrite. And when you start talking about his Paisano buddies, it is ridiculous. I'll just tell one quick Dick Vitale story in 30 seconds. Many, many years ago when Dale Brown was at the end of his tenure, Dick Vitale came in to do a game at Baton Rouge and was on all the radio shows. Me, Jimmy, Charlie, everybody. He was trying to egg it on. He was selling a book, but he was telling all of us man, Dale Brown ought to be fired. No lie, it's true. Dale Brown ought to be gone. I don't know. How's he hanging on there? This Dick Vitale talking about Dale Brown. And guess who's best buddies now?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
So, look, Calipari, Patino, all these other guys that he's in line on. Will Wade is a young guy, and they don't like the fact that he got Javonte Smart and other great players, Naz Reid, Trey Ward, all these guys. And so he's kind of the guy that, and I mean, we see it. Number 8 seed in the big dance. Goodness gracious, that's ridiculous.
And look, let's face it. We enjoy Will Wade because he is cocky.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's good.
He's your cocky coach, all right? If you're an opposing team, you don't like that guy's cocky coach. You know, if you're sitting there and you're a fan of Auburn or whoever, and you look at Will Wade and you know, maybe his mannerisms, the way he talks or whatever, is however he conducts himself on a sideline, you know, maybe it gets on your nerves like you know, some football coaches used to get on our nerves, like Steve Spurrier. But he's LSU's guy, so you know, you enjoy him. So the sooner this stuff can get behind LSU, the better. That's all.
Well, I will just add the final comment. If they had something of substance, I think we would have seen it by now. I really do.
Yeah. Dane Bergeron, can you talk about the running back position? It looks concerning with the 2 starters injured. Those are minor injuries. I don't think there's anything to be worried about. And then you're going to add Armani Goodwin and Corey Kiner, Trey Bradford. I mean, they've got some running backs.
But I think the big thing that is still missing is an LSU running back that can consistently catch the football out the backfield. We forget Clyde Edwards-Helaire only scored that 1 touchdown in that great play call that they took from the Detroit Lions 2 weeks and used it in the Alabama game to score right before halftime. He caught 55 balls in 19. And Tyrion Davis-Price is getting better, but still body angles and hands and all that. John Emery, we thought was going to be a phenom catching the football and has had numerous injuries. Trey Bradford, super fast guy, juggles all those balls, kind of like Trey Palmer, got to learn to catch it better. Josh Williams played a little bit, but he's a walk-on. And then these 2 guys coming in, Corey Kiner and Goodwin, they're going to play if they can catch the football out the backfield.
Some absolute weapons. I joked with, or I don't say if I joked, but I brought up to Ed Ingram. He was the first interview out the gate for us today. And I said, you know, Ed, you know, the average age of you guys, he goes, yeah, I think most of us are 22. Shanahan's hitting 23 or so. And you know, so if that group can stay healthy and with all the weapons, Butte and Coy Moore and on, running backs, I think Cole Taylor is going to, it looks to me like he's beefier. I think the quarterback situation, however it shakes out, whoever's 1-2, that's going to be phenomenal. I just think there's a whole lot to be excited about with LSU football, and regardless of what other shows might be saying about off the field comments and the firestorm of Ed Orgeron the other night saying that he didn't interview the coaches that got hired last year, and my phone was blowing up. Your phone was blowing up. I'm getting texts from guys in the Alabama media market. Did he really say that? And then how that took off, and it's like I kind of knew what Orgeron was saying, and then there's also several ways, and I also think he was probably throwing some shade there. You know, was Bo Pelini 100% his guy?
No.
He's throwing some shade there, isn't he? People says he didn't interview him. You know, so when Scott Woodward says I don't meddle, or if he asks my opinion, I'll give it. You know, yeah.
Well, he also listened to Pete Carroll, who recommended Pelini, and the reason I had a problem with it, Mike, is that Coach O's had a truth serum. And for those in the media and those that are fans, man, you love every morsel, a little bit of information that you get on your Fighting Tigers.
But everybody's not 100% when they give advice. I mean, you know, we can go back to who's still getting quoted. He's probably 185 years old. Gil Brandt. He's still getting quoted with the NFL draft coming up. And every time I hear his name, I'm thinking, Gil Brandt said, "Take Curly home and then don't look back." You know, everybody's got something. You know, like sooner or later, whatever not everything that comes out of the Seattle coach's and Ed Orgeron's former boss's mouth isn't gold.
I just think, though, that when you make a comment like that, I agree with you. I think he's throwing some shade at somebody. We know that the AD went on a liberal radio program and threw some shade towards O because he talked about his relationship with President Trump and how he was treated at the White House. I had Republican people and people on the right going crazy when he endorsed John Bel Edwards for governor. A while back. So it's a tough mix.
I felt I felt sorry for Orgeron. He was in a no-win situation. Whatever that minute segment was, I was watching it live. I knew he was going on with Sandra Smith because I was recording it because I was going to make put it up on TigerBait. And she asked that question towards the end, knowing that he had went to the White House. I mean, what do you expect Ed Orgeron to say? Oh, he's a jerk and we didn't have a good time? Well, if Ed Orgeron would have went Saddam Hussein's picnic and Saddam Hussein treated him nice, he'd probably say, Saddam was nice. That's just how he is. If you're good to him, he's good to you. He's not political.
No, but here's my problem.
But if they win a national championship this year and he goes to the Biden White House and says, I love Joe Biden, is there going to be a faction of the fan base that gets mad?
You know that. But here's the problem. That will be used against him negatively in recruiting. They will tell these kids, "Do you see this guy?"
Oh yeah, I know.
And this is what we're talking about. Title IX and this and all these fingers pointing right at LSU. It's not a good look. LSU's never had great PR since Herb Vincent left, and we understand him moving up. And Robert Munson, a guy that it's been out of control. They need to get a guy to say, look.
Herb Vincent was fantastic.
Herb was, and he's never been replaced, but you need to have a guy say, look, I enjoy the honesty, but there's some things you do not need to say.
The thing about it is and that's, Ed Orgeron is not a U.S. Senator. He's not thinking on his feet and saying, how do I need to construct this sentence so that I make everybody, it's either so vanilla that nobody can seize on any morsel of whatever wording I use. And Ed Orgeron's mind doesn't work that way. And he's not a politician. He's a football coach. So he went up there, and then, of course, it's my understanding they said, well, what do you expect him to do? Or something was said to the players like, didn't every one of you guys get up and pose for a selfie with the President Trump? And he took pictures with every single one of y'all? What are you going to do?
No, I understand all that, but you don't say that you hired a guy without interviewing him. And I got a bone to pick with Mike, folks, because just like Durante Jones, I was the fourth choice tonight. He tried to get Bryant. He tried to get Preston. He tried to get Glenn Guilbeau. I was the fourth choice tonight. And that's okay. I'm enjoying it. But I'm making a joke of the Durante Jones talk when he said Durante was fourth or fifth. But so what? So was I. Look, there was
Jared DiNardo was what, sixth?
There was some true serum in that Zoom interview, and he threw some stuff out there that people were going like, oh my God, this is incredible media and sound bites. I just think you need to put a lid on some of these comments that are not shining LSU, this state, and the football program in the best light.
Gerard Bryant. Hey, Mike, can you tell me if today's commitment brings us up to the #1 class? I think it's still hovering around 2 or 3 nationally on the different consensus of the networks, composites, so forth. But when you look at what's on LSU's board, Emory Jones, Tapp, some of the other guys, Jaheim Otis out of state, there's just so much there where LSU can vie for the top spot. Either way, they're going to be in the top 3, I think, on signing day. It's going to be a phenomenal class. And I think Louisiana, we talked about it the other day. I mean, how many Louisiana kids will be in this class? And you said 15 or 16, and it might very well get there, I think.
I think 8 of 11 right now are from the state of Louisiana. Yeah. So, I said 15 or 16.
It's going to be a big number.
And here's another part of the equation that people are just finding out about, Mike. Because everybody got the free extra year, a lot of these kids that are sleepers and late bloomers are having trouble because these schools don't have room for them. So it helped LSU out, obviously, because they only signed 2 offensive linemen and got all those guys back. And also because of the fact that, by the way, we hadn't visited with this in a while. Are they going to, is that what the NCAA is going to accept, 8 scholarships from the 85, or do you think there's more sanctions down the way?
It's one of those deals where it's, I think the football program thought that they had everything squared away. I don't know if they had some insight as to the NCAA's thinking, or if they thought they had everything done, and then the basketball stuff surfaced even deeper. And so that got them wrapped up in as far as a total package of LSU in the NCAA's eyes. And I think that threw a monkey wrench into them. So I don't know, the sooner one of these committees meets and solves one of the dilemmas, then I think it's going to make the other one go away. So,
and I'm sure they're going to pass some legislation that Alabama can bring in 30 scholarships players a year.
Dane Bergeron, what the hell, Mike? You had Glenn.
I was joking on that.
Glenn using a word over Buddy. I'm canceling my membership.
I was joking. I just was making light of the fact that Coach O said that Durante Jones was the 4th or 5th choice. But so what? So was he.
I tell you what, guys. Buddy and I have been long-winded tonight. So if I missed some of your questions, I'm gonna scroll up a bit. Don't be afraid to go ahead and retype it if there's something I missed that you guys had earlier in the show. Phantom 7815, I scrolled up and found him. Here we go. Phantom, if you're still with us, hopefully you're still there. Who do you see as a sleeper of the incoming freshman class? Someone who gets significant playing time who likely wasn't expected to. Well, early on, Derek Davis was a guy that we've heard about. Man, a sleeper. Man, it's so hard when you got so many returning starters. Obviously Peyton Todd is a freshman.
I was going to mention him.
He's out there. Mason Smith, of course. Besh, I think once he arrives, I think Armani Goodwin or Corey Kiner or both. I think Armani Goodwin might be the one that maybe would be ahead of Kiner just because of the kind of back that he is in pass catching.
But he said sleeper, and I think that's a tough question.
Yeah,
right
because usually a sleeper is a.
Yeah.
You almost want to say, well, sleeper's a guy who's maybe a 3-star and he ends up being a better
Sleepers
guy.
like Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Jacob Hester, somebody that's a 2 or 3 or a low 4.
And LSU didn't have any of those.
Yeah.
But is it maybe, I think Derek Davis is a guy that, if you were, people were saying on signing day night, the second signing period night, and people were talking about the recruiting class, almost nobody would have brought up Derek Davis's name.
Yeah.
But now he's a guy that figures in, and of course, look, then we're going to see Sage Ryan show up and Langlois. It's going to be very interesting. I think a minimum both those guys will be as special teams.
Don't forget the wide receivers now, Chris Hilton and Brian Thomas. And then look, I got some people telling me that this kid from Mississippi, they like him a lot.
Yep.
But he's been injured, so we'll see.
Yep. Let me scroll down and see what we got. Bart, can you retype it? I know I got one of them. Let me see. Bart said he got me something way up top. Bart, I know I answered the Locouture question. Is that the one you're talking about, or you had another one I missed?
Yeah, just retype it.
Yeah, if I missed that one, Locouture, I don't think he's finished with football, or I hope he's not, or maybe he's just decided, hey, I'm going to pursue the private sector. But I tend to think the job he's got right now, it seems to me that might be temporary, and then he'll get through this year, and then he'll be looking for a coaching job somewhere.
But it's hard to have him expect to get the D-line job when you bring in a guy like Andre Carter, and those players are loving him. There were different quotes on some of the D linemen, and Ali Gay's talking about all the guys that took care of him. And Andre Anthony, man, are you buying all this Andre Anthony talk? It sounds like he is one of the definite leaders. And in his 6th year, I just think he blows up this year. I really do.
That would be fantastic. And he's worked hard. And
good kid.
And
good young man.
I'd love for that to happen. All right, guys, I'll tell you what. Brett Garafola, one of my old buddies from the Sherwood Forest area. Which coaches y'all think will be on the field? Pete sure seems like a press box guy to me.
Yeah, that's what we heard last time. Pete's was going to be in the press box, and look, all of that. That's what's going to happen this Saturday and next Saturday, which of course are the two big scrimmages, and then the spring game. They serve nothing but vanilla ice cream, and you don't really get to see a whole lot. But I'm sure they're working on all that. I wanted to get back and visit one question that you mentioned about the labeling of the quarterbacks. I mean, what is the advantage if you'd say this guy's 1, 2, 3, or 4? And you've been talking to Rohan Davey. I specifically remember that when Jerry Donato named Josh Booty and Craig Nall 1, 2, and Rohan 3, he was like, blanket, I'm out of here. He called his mama on John Paul Funez's cell phone at the time. And John Paul, of course, was one of the few people at the time that had a cell phone. But his mom said, you sticking it out. You're not going to quit. You're going to stick it out. And, of course, we know that was some pretty big games and wins at Rowe. Rowe was a very popular player with the fan base.
I love Rohan Davey.
Yeah. But all of that to connect the dots here, I just don't think there's any advantage. I want to see them carry all 4 into the fall camp because, Mike, with injuries, they played 3 last year. You just never know when your call is going to be given to you.
And if they all stick, then I think that answers your question as to whether the class of 2022 is a 1 or 2 quarterback class.
Absolutely.
If they have a doomsday scenario like Narcisse and
Justin McMillan, then yeah, you're talking about a 2 quarterback class with Walker Howard coming in at midterm. Bar Smokey retyped it for me. Cade Morrow from Pineville. I want to see him. I didn't get a chance. I haven't seen him. And Tackett Curtis from Manny, of course, safety linebacker who's piling up a ton of offers. Coach Curtis, his uncle messaged me again this morning. I mean, he said Georgia, Auburn, Michigan, Notre Dame, all coming in with offers. I think LSU wants to see him at camp this summer. I think maybe there some folks in Manny are getting a little upset that LSU hasn't offered because all those other offers are coming. But, you know, those schools have the luxury of extending an offer and saying, we want you to come to camp. If you're LSU and you extend an offer to a Louisiana kid, you have to accept that commitment if he decides to commit. And Tackett is a kid who they have not seen in person. Whereas every kid on LSU's commitment list right now from Louisiana, they have had at camp or they have seen in person before COVID. Yeah.
So that's the situation there. So we'll see how that plays out. Kenneth Haynes, you must have just arrived. Y'all talk baseball yet? You want to give Kenny a quick synopsis of baseball heading into to Knoxville this weekend?
Well, look, Gio once again re-aggravated the hammy a little bit, so you got a little platoon in center field, and Coach Maneri talked about one second baseman is good defensively, and the other one's an offensive guy, and then you got Dylan Cruz, who last weekend, for the first time in 20 games, did not get on base. LSU hitting about 275, ERA, pitching staff 399. They still lead the country with 37 home runs. But you got to close out games. And if anybody went to that game, Mississippi State, man, Friday night and Saturday night, really tough. And the bullpen was lights out. LSU fans a little frustrated the bullpen not more developed. In case you missed it, Kenny, Landon Marceau will get the ball tomorrow at 5:30. That's 5:30 Central. It's on the digital network. They play 3 games at Tennessee. Weather could be a problem. And then the reason he also moved up Marceau is that they play Vandy next week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Jaden Hill starting Saturday against Tennessee. A.J. Labus starting on Sunday. And 2 out of the 3. And you hate to say the second weekend in the SEC is really important and clutch. But look, you know how the natives are. What do you think they're talking about if they're 3-3 after 2 weeks and Vandy coming in? If they go 1-2, and they're 2-4, oh man, you're going to have some people jumping off the bridge on the Mississippi River.
Yeah, they got to win too. Y'all do me a favor. I usually do it earlier in the show. Please, whether you're on YouTube or watching us on Facebook, hit the like button if you're enjoying the show, and please share it. If you're on Facebook. Please share our video to our show to your timeline. And if you're an LSU fan, no doubt you got many Facebook friends who are also LSU fans that might enjoy our show, and very much appreciative. And also, too, I want to invite all of you to check us out at TigerBait.com. We always have it where you can subscribe and try the site for $1 for a week. And like I always tell you guys, try a premium subscription. If you choose the packages, do the annual. You save money. You basically get 3 months for free when you choose the annual, and you only get billed once a year. So you get the spousal acceptance factors. You're not going to get hammered by the wife, or if you're an LSU fan and you're a female in the house, the husband's not getting mad because he sees a charge every month. It's just a one-time, and it's a savings. So go subscribe to TigerBait.com. We really want to have you, and we've got a lot coming your way. We've got a lot of recruiting info, baseball coverage, basketball recruiting on the way. Of course, all our spring football coverage. You get our newsletters, our text alerts for breaking news. If you're a TigerBait subscriber, you got the text alert as soon as Tigey Hill announced his commitment to LSU at 2:30 this afternoon. We've got his commitment story on the front page of TigerBait right now, as well as exclusive video that we shot of him in action last football season. Of course, nobody does prospect video better than we do at TigerBait.com. So I want to thank you all for watching us tonight. Thanks to Buddy for coming back in and being a part of the show. And check him out. Tell them how they can watch you every
1 to 3 on TuneIn. Hey, look, if you can give me 30 seconds.
Go ahead.
I saw the site. Tiger Shark and a lot of the older guys were talking about COVID and how you cannot take this thing lightly, and he was impacted. And the only thing I want to bring to the table, and he was talking about, if I can just save one life. I've had everybody in my family get it, and we were very fortunate, and you know Dan and a lot of people that we've lost, just an incredible amount. A pulse oximeter is a little device that you stick your finger in, and it registers your oxygen and your pulse. And I don't know why more people have not been in tune to this, but it has saved many, many lives. And so the biggest problem that you get quickly with COVID is oxygen. And people know that you can't breathe and you're struggling to breathe.
Yep.
And I had a family member that had to go to the hospital because he didn't realize his oxygen. So please, if you've got somebody north of 50 or somebody with extenuating circumstances, get them a pulse oximeter. They can take it. I'm fully vaccinated. I still take my pulse with the pulse oximeter every day just because I want to make sure that I'm good to go. But check it out, pulse oximeter. It can save you or your loved one's life.
No doubt. Thanks y'all for tuning in. Go to TigerBait. I'm gonna have the video from today's practice up and not much longer, so you'll want to check TigerBait out for that here in a little bit. So thank y'all for being a part of the show tonight. Thanks to Buddy again, and we'll be back here next Thursday night, and probably be. I keep saying we're gonna add some more shows, but be on the lookout. Hit the notification bell because. Especially if you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, I'm loading videos up there every day. Pulmonary, player football interviews, you name it, we've got it for you. So go to our YouTube channel, subscribe, hit the notification bell on that, and we'll see y'all next week. Much appreciated.